Hey guys, Justin Schaff here, and today we're going to be covering how often should you train. Now, some of the core principles you want to think about is one, you want to hit muscle groups about 2 to 3 times a week. And then furthermore, if you're powerlifting, you want to hit the main lifts 1 to 3 times a week. Generally, something like a deadlift would be once a week, maybe two if you can handle it. Whereas something like the bench press, you could do up to 4 times a week if you can handle it. But the goal here, or the thing to realize here, is to start low and increase as you go. Increase as you can handle more volume and more weight in more days, right? So one big thing is to be able to be consistent in a schedule, right? It doesn't matter if you have a 5-day-a-week workout program if you only lift 3 days a week, right? Those extra 2 days are pointless. So generally cut it back and plan something around being able to come into the gym 3 times a week if that's all you're able to do. Each day, you want to have an intent for that day. And then especially if you're adding a day, say if you go from 3 days a week to 4 days a week, make sure that that fourth day has a good purpose to it, right? Especially if we're progressing well with 3 days and you feel like, oh man, I could totally handle a fourth day, let me add a fourth day. That may hinder you because what happens when you're progressing really well on 3 days a week because you have adequate recovery. And then when you add a fourth day in, what happens when that ruins your recovery, right? You're probably not going to progress as well as you were, even though you're doing more work. So the idea is always, once again, just start low. You can always increase volume. You can always add days to your schedule, right? And then recovery capabilities, once again, right? So start off with something that you can recover from. Recovery is super important. You know, what we do in the gym doesn't matter if we're not recovering from it. So make sure that you can adequately recover from your workouts. Finally, realize that any split can work, whether it be 3 full body days a week or an upper lower split, maybe a push-pull legs. Any split can work. You just have to find what works for you. Now, how do we keep something sustainable? Simply don't overtrain. Once again, you can always add days later. You can always add more later. Start off lower, make sure you can recover from things, and then add days as you go. Then prioritize what you want to. When I recently went from 4 days a week to 5 days a week, all I did was split my second upper body session into a dedicated push day and a dedicated pull day. This is because one, I realized that my back was pretty weak, and then two, my back also was a physique weak point as well. It just didn't look very impressive. So I split my second upper body day into push day and a pull day to get some more dedicated volume to those muscle groups that weren't getting as much as they should have. So, prioritize what you want. Prioritize what you want to do, If you want to get really good at bench press, maybe add in another bench press day. Maybe add in a slight or a light squat variation day, right? And so it kind of depends on what your goals are and where you are at in comparison to those goals. Finally, once again, make sure you can recover. This is the biggest part to any program. Make sure you can recover. Make smart choices. Then finally, pick a program that you are motivated to do. Don't really buy into the hype of any one split because once again, any split can work. There's no secret sauce. There's no magic here. It's just focusing on the principles and making sure that whatever split you have allows you to focus on those principles, right? So really, in conclusion, find what works for you. Once you find a split that gives you progress, stick with it until you hit a plateau. And then if you're adding days or adding more work, just make sure there's specific goals for that day and a specific intent for that day. Once again, to go back to my example, I split my second upper body day up because I wanted more back volume. My back was strength-wise was weak and also physique-wise was weak. And so I had a goal and I had a specific intent for that day that I added. It was to build my back. And you should do that too. All right, guys, I hope that helped. As always, if you have any further questions, feel free to send me a DM or leave a comment, and I'll be sure to answer it. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.